everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of PodShots with Bhawna, where we pause, we reflect, and we go into deep conversations to shape our lives to have some self improvement. Well, of course, before we actually get into today's episode, let me ask you one question. Have you guys ever felt that no matter how our life might look picture perfect from outside, but somewhere inside something still feels off, right? Well, that's exactly what we are going to explore today by going beneath inside the surface in order to find and learn something which is very important, which is the art of self mastery. And that is for what I have a very special guest today. So let's unpack it together and allow me a moment till I bring her up onto the screen for all of us. Okay, guys, as I was mentioning to you a while back, that today's conversation is going to be very different because we're not going to talk about business, growth, strategies, sales, and marketing, but we are actually going to talk about the force behind it or something which really drives it. And that is that how we think, how we feel, and how do we show up, especially for ourselves. Because the truth is that no matter how successful we can look on the paper, but somewhere down the line, deep inside, we still might feel stuck. We still might feel overwhelmed, or we might feel disconnected. And that's where, requires a practice of an art, I would say, which is art of self-mastery. And that's what we are going to unpack today. And I have a very special guest with me. So those of you who are watching this show, please join me to welcome Veena Dhandhia. Veena is an expert into self-mastery. She has been so passionate, and her workspace revolves around this self-mastery, self-love. She has been a certified life coach, self-mastery coach, and she has been passionate to help people to navigate challenges, seek their identity, and find their purposes in life. And she actually helps people to in the interpersonal communication, work-life balance, and all it takes to lead a very happy, fulfilled life. So thank you so much, Veena, for accepting my invite and being my guest on the show. I'm sure, it's going to be a real master class.
Thank you very much for having me, Bhavna. I'm happy to be here.
So as I was saying, I'm really excited because, this particular topic, no matter how easy it sounds, but I think it's one of the most difficult practice to actually have it in our routine day-to-day activity. So I'm really looking forward to learn to have this art of living a real contented life than just having very artificially a happy life. So
Okay.
so just to let you know the format of the show. So it's a PodShots show. So it's a shorter version of the podcast. So it's an under 20-minute show. So where I will seek your insightful thoughts about a few core questions. And towards the end, we'll have a very fun, quirky, informal, rapid fire round question to know you a little more. uh, so so
Okay.
that's about it. So shall we begin?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with the theme itself of self mastery. So, as I was mentioning, that it sounds very powerful, but it can sound very abstract as well. So, you being an expert in this area, what do you think, and what actually does it mean, self mastery?
Okay. Thank you very much, Bhavna. So this is a very important question. Yet people do ask me, self-mastery, what do you mean by self-mastery? So self-mastery basically is everything that you can do to master your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, and apply those concepts, those thoughts to different areas of your life, so that you can lead a more successful, more prosperous, a more fulfilled, and a happier life. So this sounds weird, but the thing is, it's everything that happens in life. It boils down to the self,
Right.
right? So whatever happens, any situation, any thought process, you are trying to change a situation, trying to change a person, whatever you're doing, but eventually it boils down to how you handle yourself, how you handle the situation, how you handle the person. And so that is the road to better fulfillment in life. Now, what does self contain? Self is all about you, right? So you are unique. So it's all about self esteem, self confidence, self dignity, self identity, self management, self control, self discipline. You can go on and on and on. Self trust, self worth. So it's all down, boiling down to self, yourself. And this is what self mastery is.
Thank you so much. So it definitely holds a lot of power, but as I was mentioning in the introduction, that from the outside world, we all might, think that, it's a very picture perfect kind of a life, but somewhere still there are chances that, we all inside feel stuck. So what, according to you, is, are the reasons or things, with elements which really makes us feel stuck inside?
Well, in spite of you being successful outside, right? So why do you feel stuck inside? It is usually because of a feeling of lack, feeling of lack, feeling of self doubt. So that lack can be lack in self belief, lack in self trust, or lack in self confidence. And it actually starts from the point of where one feels, I'm not enough. I am
Hmm.
not enough. I'm
Right.
not good enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not, happy enough. It could be anything to do with I am not enough. So that feeling of lack is the main thing I feel. That internally it becomes a blockage and stops you from actually feeling happy inside. That lack of it. And the second thing, which is very important, is comparison.
Right.
We are always comparing ourselves to the other people who are more successful. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong in comparing. Now, if I'm running in a race and I'm in my lane of life and I'm looking at the person next to me and that person is, rearing ahead faster, that's okay. But that person has his own circumstances, his own
Hmm.
situation, his own thought process. So we cannot compare ourselves to that person. What we can do is get inspired by that person. So, how do we compare? We compare ourselves with ourselves. So, we look back behind us, our shoulders, and see how far we have come. So,
True.
we can choose to walk, we can choose to crawl, we can choose to run. So, that comparison should be just with ourselves. I think these two things, the feeling of lack and the feeling of comparison, throws you off from your internalization.
Absolutely, very nicely said. As most of us, we tend to fall in that trap of comparison. So I mean, what is key, as you mentioned, that even if you're comparing for seeking inspiration, but no one in this life is either ahead of you or neither are you behind. Everyone is walking their own path. So
Yes.
it's just that you are walking your own clock. Getting inspired is one thing, but comparison can steal away
Yeah.
your own
Yeah. And it's
achievements.
not that, Bhadra, it's not that people don't know this. People
Right.
know it, but to actually apply it in
Applying it
practice
is exactly
and to be
right.
mindful of these things is what actually is mastering yourself, Mastering. What
Exactly.
is mastery? Yes.
Right. So again, coming to in the extension of what you just mentioned, that we as human beings, we tend to have some internal obstacles which we built over the period of time, or maybe our situations in life force us to get them inside. So in your this career of being a life coach, and you conduct so many workshops, so what do you think, which are those key obstacles which you find people actually sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously carry? Is it that fear or doubt or self uh, limited barriers what we create? So, what are those key things which act as hurdles in our own path?
I think if you are asking for three things, I think it is doubt,
Hmm.
fear, and if the third thing is there, then it's envy. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, if I'm sitting in a car on a steering wheel, right? So the doubt and fear from our lives, Bhavana, they're never going to go away. They will be there in some form or the other. Maybe sometimes small, sometimes big. So what we need to do is to be able to see them, either solve them or reduce that or accept. And then just put it behind your head. So basically, if I'm sitting in a car driving, it's in the back seat. It's there. The doubt and fear and envy is there, but it's there in the back seat. And I've just tackled it. I've taken care of it. I've mastered my emotions and my thoughts. And accordingly, I'm acting on my world. So these three things, I think, are the most important barriers that people feel, or obstacles that they come through, that we all need to be just taken care of in a very gradual way. And we are all a work in progress anyway, right?
Correct, correct. So
Yeah,
as you rightly said, I mean, we cannot be depleted of these thoughts, but it's, I think the
yes,
control is needed, that we should not let them dominate our thought process.
yeah,
So, I mean, we cannot get away with that being humans. I think it's natural to get those thoughts also, but the controlling is something which needs the
yeah.
mastery, which
It's
of
a
course,
resilience.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
the,
resilience. How quickly you're able to bounce back, or how quickly you're able to take care of it. Yeah,
true, true. So coming to another important topic, which is of self-love. So I personally, always say that I love myself, a lot. Like the typical taglines, कि मैं अपनी खुद की favorite हूँ type of thing. But according to you, what does self-love really mean, and how can one actually practice in day-to-day life? Because on social media, we all can talk, we can post and all that stuff, but in real sense, what does self-love mean? Because many people fall in the trap of self-guilt also. So how do you talk more about that?
okay. So before I get on to self-love, one more thing I want to add about the inner obstacle, which I feel is very important, is that the inner obstacle is I can't.
Hmm.
I can't.
The barrier,
So I
yes.
can't is, if you turn that into the question, what's stopping you?
Hmm.
And that turns into I can.
Correct.
Simple formula, I can't, to what's stopping you, to I can. So that's very important. I had to mention that. Okay, coming to self love. So, what is actually self love? It's a big banner, of course. And a lot of people wonder ki, if you love yourself, you're being selfish.
Hmm.
Okay, so you're not being selfish, you're actually being selfless. Because if you love yourself enough and fill your cup to the top, to the brim, and take care of yourself, then you are in a happier state of mind and body to be able to take care of others more. So that
Right.
is actually being selfless. It's not being selfish. And self love is all about honoring your own well being, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, whether it's emotionally. And we owe that to ourselves because we are worth every bit of it, right? So that is the main thing, that you, when you can say, I am my best friend,
Hmm.
then you're really loving yourself. And not just saying it, feeling it. Whatever I am, whatever I do, with what I know, I do the best. And what I knew, I did my best. I'm able to say no when I can't do things. I'm able to put my foot down for the betterment of others and for myself. I'm able to guide others, but at the same time, take care of myself. So it's always this and that. I can do this for myself and at the same time do this. I can do this for myself and can do that. So that is actually practicing self love. And self love, otherwise, is a topic you can go on for an hour, Bhavna, and keep
True.
talking about it. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. Because as I was mentioning, that most of the time we go into that guilt feeling of doing things for ourselves, but as in the flights also, we are first told to tighten our own seat belts before we actually think of taking care of anyone. So we have to first take. Unless you fill your own cup, how are you going to fill it for others? So that's something which you need to practice it more without that guilt
Yeah,
creeping
right.
in. So now coming
And
towards
at
the
the same
end.
time, Bhavna, it's not just about tightening your seatbelt first. It's tightening your seatbelt, and at the same time, because we don't have to wait for that to happen, because that's there's no end to that.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah,
So coming to the last part of this, so another very important question is the happiness quotient. So in the intro, as I was mentioning that, uh, for everyone, happiness can vary, how we define happiness. For few, our chase to happiness could be, getting some titles, having this kind of money, this car, this house, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But actually speaking, that internal happiness, which is what, your expertise lie in, coaching. So what do you think is that real elements of being, achieving that real happiness quotient, and how can one actually achieve that?
Again, a beautiful question, Bhavna, very big one, but I'll just try and say it in a few lines. If we put our mind to the fact that happiness is not a destination, it is a journey. It is not about ki, oh, when I get this car, I'll be happy. When I buy this house, I'll be happy. When I earn this amount of money, I'll be happy. Because you may get to that point when it happens. You may not also. So what is important is the journey. So where I am here and what I want here, the journey from this place to this place should be happy. So if we're living in a state of happiness on a daily basis, meaning we are content with what we have, and then we are ambitious.
True.
So if we can feel contentment, ki whatever I have the best possible. And with that thought, then you aim for something that will make you, let's say, happier in a material sense. Then your whole journey is going to be in a state of happiness. And that is what internalization is. And it's like sitting on a scooter, like I said. Your focus is on the front, is on the future. Now, on the side, there's a small bucket, right, next to the scooter. So those are your difficulties, your problems. They will never go away. They're going to stick to you. So we either solve them, reduce them, or accept them, but your focus is in the front. If we can just keep our mind in that focus, then there is no reason why I cannot feel happy, even if something is going wrong in my life. All right? So because there's so many other things to be happy about. And gratitude.
Right.
If we have an attitude of gratitude, then we will be happy, no matter what.
True, true. Absolutely. And I think, you have rightly summed up everything, and gratitude definitely is the key element. So we have to count our blessings. So I think that really makes a lot of difference. That brings us that state of happiness from within in. So wonderful. I think this was short, but yes, very insightful and crisp conversation with you. So let's get on to the fun part of the show, which is a rapid fire. So let's actually, have a very bubbling happiness coming out. Okay.
Let me take a sip before you start this.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So if you're ready, so I'll put the timer on. Okay. So first question. Overthinking or procrastination? Your most frequent client complaint.
Procrastination.
Okay. If your mind had a mute button, how often would you use it?
I had a news button.
Mute button.
Mute
Then how often would you have used it?
Not ever.
You wouldn't want to mute it. Okay. Okay, that's nice. Okay. Advice people give all the time, but they themselves rarely follow.
Be happy.
Okay.
Don't worry. And they will still worry themselves. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So for Veena, is it music, silence, or talking it out? How do you process your emotions?
Music plus silence.
Music plus silence.
Oh, plus silence. And actually, then talking it out.
Oh, okay. So use all the three. That's good one. Okay. One word which your friends would use to describe your personality.
Electrifying.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
yes.
you charge up the entire thing.
Energetic.
Energetic. Okay. One random thing that instantly makes you happy.
Quality time with my family and friends.
Very nice. I think that's something which is the biggest asset one can have. So wonderful. This brings us to closure of the rapid fire as well. We are bang on time. So thank you so much, Veena. I think this was a great conversation, and I think you really reminded that this self transformations don't really need to do a lot of big things, but the small little things in our daily routine can also bring us that kind of happiness, quotient, and contentment in life. But of course, it's a practice of self mastery, which we all need to do it regularly and not just once in a while. So
Yeah.
thanks once again. It was wonderful to have you on my show. And I really wish you a very, very happy, contented, and peaceful life always. And wishing you good luck for your personal and professional
Yeah.
endeavors.
Thank you very much, Bhavna. And just last line, rule your inner world to be able to rule your outer world and become the
Absolutely.
masterpiece you deserve to become. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so if this episode really made you pause, think, and reflect, and you are ready for the change by those small little nuances which we now share to make our lives more meaningful, more peaceful, more contented, then please don't keep this episode only to yourself. Share it with your friends, your family, for someone who really needs it. So just let this happiness quotient flow seamlessly between your network. And do let us know that what is that one or two things in the entire episode which you really liked and you would really want to practice it. Please do comment in the inbox and share it with your friends. So till we meet next time, stay happy, stay contented, and see you next time. Till then, take good care of yourself and your loved ones. Bye bye. Signing off for today.